It's not the drugs, it's not the alcohol, it's not the mental problems or the other BS excuses that they come out with. It's the reason why these men are abusive is because they want the power and the control. And where that comes from are these very deep, very deep rooted attitudes and beliefs that they have, which they think are right. Okay, so it's very difficult to kind of change this around. It's not something you can just do kind of overnight. And where these kind of deep rooted beliefs and attitudes come from is, yeah, it's down to several things. We can blame society, we can blame religion, culture, especially the Indian culture and the African cultures that have these kind of things embedded where we serve men their food first and we sit separately, and all these things which just put the men and females on different kind of categories in life and not put us on that equality waveform. Um, so some, just kind of from what I've seen, and there's obviously several other contributing factors to this, but I just want to highlight just a couple of things today. So if how it works is, if an abuser, so imagine your abusive partner, if you have one, that is, or an abusive man, as a very small child. Okay, so imagine them just as a small innocent child. um what happens is they witness abuse. Okay, so they might not have necessarily been abused themselves, but they witnessed abuse. So they saw their mum or their sister or their aunt or somebody that they loved get abused. And it could have been from a father figure, uncle, or somebody just non-related. Obviously it depends on, every case is very individual. In my ex-husband's case, he was an innocent child, and he saw his mom and all of his sisters get abused by his dad. And I'm not talking just sexual abuse. Now, I don't even think they were. I don't know if there was sexual abuse involved in this situation, but I'm talking physical, psychological, economical. All these forms of abuse that we've talked about. There may be sexual abuse involved as well, um, but that's a whole different category. But what happens is, if this man, as a innocent child, sees abuse happening to his mum, his sister, his aunt, whoever it may be, quite often, especially kind of if you go back 20-30 years ago, there was no consequence. And especially within the Asian community, because that would be beastie or embarrassment or shame on the family if somebody called the police, or if somebody told somebody or was outspoken about what happened within the household, because that's like airing your dirty laundry, and no Indian does that. So there was more often than not, there was no consequence. So it may have been deemed to as a young child that it was normal, because daddy's not getting told off, or uncle, whoever it is that's given this abuse, that no police is coming to stop this situation. So it's normal. And quite often what happens is, because nobody talks about it, the silence, the fact that there's silence is almost like, oh, it's okay. It's okay that this can carry on. It's okay. This is normal. And so what happens is, it's that normalized behavior. And society, religion, culture can compound on those things to compound that male entitlement, so that this young innocent child grows up thinking, when I grow up into a man, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to have this role. I'm supposed to be the abusive man. So they think that this is normal. Okay. And so what happens is, in certain cultures, it's just compounded and just exaggerated. by all the cultural factors of, oh, the man goes to work and dinner's supposed to be ready on the table waiting for him, and the woman's supposed to cook and clean, and as soon as a female is born in the Asian community, she's down here. They're not equal. So it just adds to the whole misogynistic thinking to the man, and also the male entitlement. So that's kind of one of the reasons, is if they witnessed abuse. The second reason is if they were abused. So remember, this abusive man was an innocent child at one point, okay? And in with my ex-husband, with his case, it was I don't want to go into too much detail because this is his story. It's not mine to say. But what I would say is he was on such a horrific level. He was physically and psychologically abused. I don't know if there was any sexual abuse involved. But anyway, the point is he wasn't even allowed an opinion. So he felt so powerless, he felt so helpless, and he was such a young child, and he had nobody there, no caretaker, no guardian, nobody there to look after him. So all these feelings he had, this anger, this upset and loneliness, and just pure in probably being enraged with the whole situation, but being so helpless, what happened was he had no one to help control these feelings or deal with these feelings with him. So he ended up just going inwards, and these feelings just went inside. And he just suppressed them. He just suppressed these feelings. And that's kind of where you have the beginnings of narcissistic personality disorder, which I'll talk about in another video, because that's a whole nother kind of area to talk about. And I would want to give it a lot more detail. So anyway, what happens is, with this small child, feelings all go inwards, oppresses them, and because of those strong feelings of being not in control and being powerless and helpless, as an adult, as they form into adult life, they never want to be in that situation again. They never want to feel powerless. They never want to feel helpless. So they do everything in their power, literally, to make sure that they are the ones that are holding all the power and control at all times, so they don't ever get back into that situation again. And also, in this situation, my ex-partner, he witnessed abuse and also was abused. So he saw both. And so he saw that it was his role then to be abusive, but he didn't see that he was doing anything wrong. And his entire family normalized it. His entire family, so his mom, his sisters, didn't see that anything that he was doing was wrong, because they'd seen abuse for their entire lives, and they just thought this was normal. They were like, well, this is what we've been dealing with our whole lives, so why is it different for you? So yes, that's just what I wanted to say in regards to kind of abuse, that it can be both some of the times. And with these men, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that us women can do to help them. I will talk about what we can do in terms of changing the abusive man and helping the abusive man in a separate video, because there's a lot to talk about there, and this one's getting a little bit too long at the minute. So what I would like to say is thank you so much for listening. If you have been affected by anything in this video, please do reach out to somebody in your network, a friend, a family member, or even myself. I'm on Instagram. Connect with me. My page is Connecting Women Together with a number 2. Or go to one of the links that I've put down below in the description, and you can contact someone externally. So I would like to say thank you so much for listening, and well, just keep smiling at the person in the mirror.